The highly talented Julie Young dancers will be joined by the McAndrew sisters, local baritone Nicole Halcrow, and cadets from our forces, and with special thanks for our military vehicles from Morris Leslie. This year, on May the 8th, we remember the day when the Second World War came to an end in Europe 80 years ago, on Victory in Europe Day, and we look forward to commemorating the final end of hostilities with victory over Japan, VJ Day, in 5 days' time. Today, we take you back 80 years to pay tribute to the men and women who fought through the historic events up to May 1945, and then for another 3 months in the Far East. For nearly 6 long years, Allied soldiers, sailors and aviators had battled the Nazi and fascist forces of Germany and Italy. They'd endured the Axis blitzkrieg tactics on the continent, the evacuation from Dunkirk, and then on through North Africa, Sicily and Italy, the Battle of Britain and the Battle of the Atlantic, to the heroic landings in Normandy on D-Day. From there, they steadily rolled back the Nazi armies to their eventual collapse and surrender in May 1945. Fighting in combat is a lonely business, filled with moments of high emotion under fire and hours of boredom waiting for the next orders. And in those hours, thoughts turn to home and the people you love. While the forces pursue the enemy on the battlefield at home, families tried to keep life more or less normal. Food was rationed, but meals still had to be cooked, so people used great ingenuity in dreaming up new ways to manage with less. Gardens tended with weary hands, more precious fruit and vegetables. Recycling stayed a steady ritual, with items such as jam jars, brown paper and string saved to be used again and again. The postman delivered telegrams, messages tinged with hope and fear. Clothes still had to be washed, ironed and mended, and children had to be kept amused. And then, at long last, came the day when the Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, was able to tell the nation,
yesterday morning at 2:41 a.m. at General Eisenhower's headquarters, the designated head of the German state signed the act of unconditional surrender of all German land, sea, and air forces in Europe to the Allied Expeditionary Force. The German war is therefore at an end. Advance, Britannia! Long live the cause of freedom! God save the King!
And the whole nation celebrated, with the younger generation stepping out to master the latest craze, the lively new dance from across the Atlantic, the jive. And as they danced in joyful celebration, they were aware that such moments had been made possible by the selfless sacrifices of the men and women of the armed forces. There was the army. and the Navy. And there was the Air Force. the Japanese and promising to go hand in hand with our gallant allies in the United States, he declared, "Even if it is a hard struggle, we will not be the ones who will fail." Japanese forces continued to fight until in August 1945, 2 atomic bombs were dropped on the Japanese mainland by American aircraft, and a week later, the Japanese military gave up. Now that victory is marked on the 15th of August. So 6 bitter years of war, which have been fought around the world, finally drew to an exhausted close, with the members of the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force finally able to return to their families. They were the lucky ones, as they remembered all those who did not return, but lay in foreign fields far from home.
pipers played, playing for you and me. They kept on saying we will soon be free, and your soul will never fade away. You'll live forever when the pipers play. It speaks of love I have lost. It speaks of my eternal cost. It speaks the price of peace today, a price remembered when the pipers played. We will remember when the pipers played. The pipes kept playing for you and me. They kept on saying we will soon be free, and your soul will never fade away. We will remember when the pipers played. We do remember when the pipers played.
We're changing it!